Good evening, everybody. This is the unintended meeting, but I'm sure that we will come up with something positive out of this meeting. To start with, let me just say the format I had in mind for this is going to be a crowdsourced effort. I don't have an agenda. I'm going to call in points to be added into an agenda because I posed the question already in the group that we want to discuss the future of the diaspora network. So that is said, there was a request from Mr. Yaqban that I just pass quickly through the basics of what is the diaspora network. It is a private society, if you like. It's a network of people who are change makers. We only add people by invitation, and we make sure that there are people who want to make a change in Iraq. And they have whatever expertise, tools, experience, knowledge, or even funding, that can help us move the cause forward. The group is strictly non-political, non-governmental, non-religious, all the nons. We don't have any backing, we don't represent anybody, we just purely private sector people. We don't have any membership from inside Iraq because the whole idea is to really suck the benefits of the successful Iraqis outside, to focus their attention on specific projects inside Iraq. That's the concept of the whole thing. I think this covers it. I don't want to take too much time describing the group. There is a presentation by video, anybody who wants it. I mean, just write your email or whatever if I don't know you. And I will pass on to you the video that explains in more detail the whole group. With that, I end this part. And please let us open it. People logging in items for the agenda for today.
Aziz, may I suggest something?
Yeah.
There have been quite a few attempts worldwide into making the Iraqi diaspora to bring them together. And my recommendation is that we now tap who's got experience in doing that. So we don't have to start from ground zero. We can start from their experience. And I'm sure your experience is also there. And I'm trying to say this because, for example, with Dr. Hassan Fathi and Bajil Al-Qdairi and others, we were trying to do with the UNDP here in Amman to try and build the same thing, but then they had to shift their office to Iraq. So we went through about 1.5 years working, and we have got the documents, files, and Dr. Hassan Fathi went through Iraq, and he went to the universities, etc., and to talk about bringing the know-how of the knowledge of the Iraqi. It was about Iraqis. It was not open like this forum. It was just about Iraqis, and it was a job by the UNDP. So when they left, of course, we were not there, and it's gone. But the documentation is all there. I've said what I have, so it's up to you.
Okay, thanks for that. We are not exactly on ground zero. We are ground zero plus 6 months.
Sure.
We've been established since last December. That's one thing. So we have actually gained some experience already. Secondly, unlike all other efforts, this is an action group because everything is directed at working on designing or backing or supporting either existing projects or creating new projects in Iraq. So we are an action. We are not a chat shop. We are not, and this is why we are not an open gathering. We need to really just bring in the people who the best word I can describe is change makers to join us. We don't have big numbers, and all the names you mentioned, Ahsan, Bajli, by the way, I invited them all to join us today, but they chose not to join us so far. Okay. Points, please. Anybody want to add, suggest something for the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Aziz, I just to make sure our whatever you want to call it, society, whatever it is, because you said it is a private. So I mean, for the future, inviting people, I mean, I'd suggest that to invite anyone to the group has to be associated to the subject. I mean, just not, okay, listeners maybe sometimes, but I mean, to be a member of the group, I think we should be strict about it, about being, I mean, contributor rather than just listener. This is my suggestion. I mean, as you said, it's not a public one, so I mean, to invite people widely just like that, I don't think it's very reasonable. Not very advisable.
That has been the intention, that we don't invite widely. I think there was a mix-up today because we had a presentation about a project, and people came in, were invited by various others to join for today. You have taken a very good point here, because I wanted to table this myself, and you beat me to it, Yahban. The proof of the pudding is what does a member do once he joins the main group, because we are asking him to go and find himself a subgroup, we call them domains or specialist groups, to go join. And if there isn't one to their experience, taste, objectives, to create one. And we will go and work to get them, people to join them. Very much so, the proof of the pudding is who hasn't joined the group yet. And now, I mean, you only joined us recently. For over 2 months now, I'm begging people to join groups, and there's been no response. You know, people don't answer even. And this has been frustrating me, because in theory, I've got everybody in the group, in the main network, eager and ready to do something on Iraq. When they get offered the chance, they don't seem to go and join the projects or the create groups. And I don't know what to do to get past this. So I'm glad you tabled it. Yes, please. Yes, please, Munir.
Yeah, I have a concern, because you see the idea of having WhatsApp as a platform for the group and the subgroups. And I guess to a certain extent, I think Idris agrees with me. WhatsApp can be considered as anti-social media, not social media.
Okay.
I suggest going to like kind of journals, forums, online forums, where people will be more, let me say, more careful with what they propose. And at the same time, it's easily searchable, rather than going to the WhatsApp and using it as a point of chat, rather than real quality work on progress and projects and so on. I don't know, that's my idea. You remember, as a subgroup, we were Al-Bayt al-Iraqi, and it diverted a lot from the whole idea of that project.
Okay, I've logged the platform as a point on the agenda now. Okay. Anymore, we now up to 35.
Aziz, there is some questions on the chat from Mr. XS. I don't know exactly the name. The question is, or the proposition is, can we set this as a non-governmental organization, NGO?
Yes, we can. Yes, the answer. But so I will log in a point as status. Okay.
And as an NGO, we should have some kind of more real structure rather than that floating structure.
Okay, you hitting me where it hurts here because I designed the structure. But by all means, we'll discuss the structure as part of the status thing. By the way, myself and Majid are in another group outside the Diaspora network, and there what they did is divide us in task forces. So all of these points we are putting into the agenda, there's a smaller task force that worked on each one. So the status, registering, and so on. There's 2 or 3 people volunteered to work on those. So we might head into that, depending on how this goes during this meeting.
We have a raised question for Mr. Laith. Sorry to interrupt you, Sir Aziz.
Okay, please do. Go on, Mr. Laith, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and especially Mr. Aziz. I joined the group recently, and I just heard them talking about how to work in the group. So from previous experience, I believe we need to have a policy for the group. Okay. I can send you a draft of what I've done in the past as a group policy, which gonna probably focus on the people who are working, and probably put some, let's say, some challenges to the people who are not contributing.
Okay, I hear that. I've recorded that, Dr. Laith. Thanks
yeah, so I will send you that. Yeah. It's a 12-point. Actually, I did.
Please.
So some people think it's hard, but I think it is. It's an effective way to communicate, and it shows the commitment of the members of the group. Also, I work with lots of groups, which is voluntary, doing work together, and I was like managed to run all these groups successfully in the last 12 years, and I learned a lot from that. So maybe we could use this. As and you are happy if you want to modify it, change it.
Yeah, by all means, by all means.
Just to put a structure and policy for the group.
Okay, that's great. Any more points for the agenda?
Thank you,
everybody. Thank you, Dr. Laith.
Aziz, may I have one comment?
Please go ahead, Haval.
Thank you very much.
And welcome back first, because you left us a while back.
I left WhatsApp. I didn't leave the network. That's the difference. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. It's great that we're all together listening to these particular points, because these are the sort of things that I was particularly worried about at the early stages of this initiative and this concept. WhatsApp is an anti-social platform, absolutely. The points that Dr. Laith just raised, it's the best way to engage with a wider group, to make sure everybody becomes a contributor rather than a listener. We need to look at things like what is the bylaws, what is the setup from a legal structure, is it just a group on the internet, or is it going to achieve something? The aims, the bylaws, and all of this. I wanted to step back one step, if possible, Aziz, during your agenda. This is not new. The network and the diaspora stuff is not new. The Jewish community has done it before us. The Pakistani community has done it before us. The Somali community and many other communities. There is a lot of literature we can learn from. So if we approach this topic scientifically, we can actually achieve amazing results. The fact that we're having this meeting today, I think it's a really good point to put the initiative on the right track. I have some slides that I will share with Aziz later that I shared with the IOM and with the European Union for funding, but there's nothing stopping us from using these slides in the future to help us focus our work. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Havan. You've got a collection of points there, but I've narrowed it down to learning from other diasporas
Yes,
as a heading.
Ustad Aziz, we got a hand raised by Mr. Amer Aladhadh, I think. I'm not sure, but it's Mr. Amer.
Al-Aladhadh.
Sorry, Al-Aladhadh. Sorry for that.
I honestly, there are just a thing. I don't know if you know, Dr. Laith Kubba had something similar, self-directed work groups working in sub-activities of different programs, and he managed to gather 34,000 people. He did not, though. He didn't do what you guys did, which is find a platform for communication and loose coordination so that the work output coordinates itself properly, which I really admire that you guys are doing that. And when we were at the Institute for the Study of Complexity, we had people from all over the world working on the same subjects, and we used Science Wiki. Now, I'm not a technology guy, but I figure, can we make a little Iraq wiki, like a sub-wiki, where, you know, there's like the overall wiki, and then there is the economy wiki, Iraq economy sub-wiki, you know what I mean? So this is the thing. The second thing that I want to talk about is the bylaws. I'm really interested because I'm registering an NGO, a fresh one, just now. And I'm finding difficulties because finding the right experience.
Sorry, if you are not talking, please mute. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm finding difficulties finding the right legal expertise to write the bylaws. And it seems like, and I defer to you guys. You guys seem like you have a lot more experience. I'll defer to you guys. That I'm looking forward to hear about how that's gonna go. So these are the two main points, and I love the idea. Thanks for sending out the invitation.
Okay. On the Laith Kubba point, Mr. Amer, unfortunately, I don't know you. The first time I see your name. We have a video which explains this group and how we put it together, etc. I hope whoever invited you to send you that video so that you're aware of the setup for this group. Laith Kubba is a friend of mine. This is the 5th initiative I run with. On a previous initiatives, we combined forces. Me and Laith, and we discussed. I've had a couple of full day sessions with him in London, for example, only couple of years back. Also in Suleymania, we met. He's very well aware of what I do, but his direction is we are focused on our mission statement is to create jobs, new work opportunities for youth in Iraq. It's very specific, very pointed. It leads you immediately into business and entrepreneurship and creating big projects, small projects, etc. So we are in a different direction from the other groupings. Finally, on the point of law, once you see this video I was talking about, that we have 7 central pools, 7 central groups. One of them is legal, and in legal we have 4 people already. This is one of our active groups. and they have already been giving advice to some of the projects on the ground. We've been here for 6 months, so it's once you get to know the existing setup, I'm sure you will be able to give us the benefit of your experience, or use our experience also in your situation. Thank you.
I don't see any raised hands as of now. If there is any questions, please come forward. Either just raise your hand or put it in the chat group, and we will try to handle it. It's Mr. Matt Ashgeir. Very bad. Sorry.
مرحبا شباب.
أهلا وسهلا.
اسمي الحركي مات، وانا اسمي مهند الاشياقر، وتعرفت ادريس موجود ويانا، هذا ابن كاليفورنيا ابن ولايتي، واياد هذا صديق العمر. من احنا اكو قصه كلش حلوه انه شلون تعرفنا قبل ما نولد. anyway الاخ اللي نسيت اسمه اللي يسال على البايلوز، بالحقيقه عندي يعني خلينا نقول مجموعه من البايلوز، وعندي محامي اللي دا اشتغل وياه على تاسيس جمعيه عراقيه بجنوب كاليفورنيا اللي هي نفس الشيء نون بروفيت نون ريليجيوس وبيها فد اهداف حلوه. فاذا يحب يتصل بي اقدر ابعث له تليفوني او الايميل مالتي او الواتساب، ونقدر نكون على اتصال مع بعض. هذا اللي عندي اياه، وطبعا اشكر المبادره. ما ادري هو نفسه ابو الاركيتكت وينه؟ ما شفت الواحد.
Sorry, we had something went wrong during the day. There was some misunderstandings between various people, and we ended up having the presentation for Taghlib cancelled by himself.
Okay. يعني تغلب زميلي وصديقي، ف
نعم
سلم عليه. طيب ها هي اللي عندي، شكرا.
Okay. We will we have a video of a previous presentation by Taghlib. Happy to distribute this to people interested. But we rather than losing the venue and the slot, we turned the subject of the meeting to discussing the future for the Diaspora network. Unfortunately, because you're not in the network, you didn't know about this change, and I apologize for that.
Ustad Aziz, there is a comment from Mr. Muhammad Munir. We do have a legal subgroup.
Yes, that's what I mentioned a few minutes ago. Yes, we do.
Okay. I don't see any raised hands. Maybe anybody wants to add more comments. We have 46 people attending from all over the world. I was trying to put a poll if you want to keep the group or not, or maybe, but somehow it didn't work out, because I think this is about the question.
Yes.
So there's a raised hand from Dr. Laith again.
Thank you again. It's me. I'm just wondering, what is the category for a membership? Do you have a category, a specific category, or do you have a committee to agree on someone who's been asked or been nominated to be to have the membership of the group?
We discussed this a little earlier, and I think I've sent you that video where I attempted to describe the objectives, etc., for the group. To keep it short and punchy, we're calling it change makers. We're looking for change makers. We're looking for successful Iraqis in whatever endeavor they are in. They are happy to share their experience, their knowledge, their money with projects on the ground back in Iraq, and to help us either support existing projects or create new ones through the organization we are creating, or
I received your like video and I looked at it, but it is, for me, it's kind of general call, let me say. So if we put categories for the person who's gonna like be nominated to join the group, and there is like a select committee to go through like whatever CV, especially if you're talking, you are gonna like organize this as NGO or another form of like legal entity. So if we set these categories, it's gonna be easier. One of the things, yes, you are looking for people who are successful, try to help, good with experience, but one thing, do they have the time for the group or not?
Then they don't join. If they don't have time, yeah, I mean, we don't have any time demands. We don't say, if you join, you need to spare us 1 hour or 10 hours a month. We're leaving it to the people because there are many subgroups. They can join as many as they want, and they can allocate whatever time they want. We just need people who can help us because information, knowledge, latest in science and technology, even morals are all missing in Iraq. We need our missing middle class, as I call it, to lend in a hand to close this gap for us back in Iraq. We've got access to a lot of youth doing projects. They're all screaming for help. And what's available in Iraq is the setup, the universities, everything is hindering their progress to make a change in Iraq. So this group is to support and help where possible these people. And if we annually are the cause for, let us say, creating 100, 1,000, 10,000 new work opportunities for youth, then we've done our job. We've done our job right. And how do I translate this into a criteria for accepting people or not? I don't want to be like a union, you know, نقابية. ما أريد أصير نقابي مع الناس.
I agree with you, but I think it is in order to identify the people who are really contributing to the group with the people who are not. There need to be a category, or maybe you can do a kind of an annual evaluation for the membership, and that depends on the contribution, communication, all these sort of things, and then that's going to be done annually in order to renew their memberships. This is another way of approaching this.
Okay, we actually have done some steps in this direction already. For me, a sign of being active is to go and belong to the subgroups, to the various. You know, we already have over 30 domains and specialist groups in the organization. So if people don't join them and they just stay in the main group, which has nothing, if you actually sit around with us in the main group, there are very little posts and very few discussions, if at all, because it is an action group. We want action, and the action happens at the subgroups. So one way of what we've done so far, the subgroups all have given themselves for the next 6 months some KPIs. They've identified KPIs for themselves, and we're hoping this will start the ball rolling for people to start contributing, and it will be at subgroup level that people will be discovered if they are contributors or not. And I guess we can have a system whereby the subgroups themselves vote in membership or not, or you know, assess contributions of their members, something like that.
Ustad Aziz, we have Ustad
Thank you very much.
Hassan Al Dahan. He raised his hand, and then Ustad
Okay.
Muhammad.
أهلا أستاذ حسن. Hello.
أهلا وسهلا بالجميع. I wanted to say thank you for having this event. And I do suggest that if we can put the group on LinkedIn, it'll give an idea of exactly what the person's background is. Because most of the people have a link on LinkedIn. And I've seen a lot of the groups and the webinars and any initiatives with the LinkedIn, it's been more obvious of who you're meeting with. And I think it's more of a professional. It's not the WhatsApp group, which basically at certain times it's a bunch of different groups. It's just videos, it's just chats, it's nothing serious. But I think if we take it to a more professional level, if we put the group on LinkedIn, and then you can put it as a private group, you could be the auditor of that group, and people can actually try to join your group through LinkedIn, and then you would accept them once you look at their background. Now, I'm sure you have to be careful because you have to verify, because there's a lot of spoofed profiles in LinkedIn. I've seen that with people in which, you know, and even government officials, that later on I found out that it was a fake LinkedIn page. But we need to verify that the person's invited. And the other thing with the NGOs, I've been involved in NGOs since 2003. I think the first one I belonged to Dr. Hadi Khalili, who's a neurosurgeon. And at the time, I think it was close to 2003 and 4, in which he got mostly college professors. Now, he's a medical doctor. His idea was to train, you know, doing change by actually training everybody from the parking attendant to the surgeon to the nurses, where he thought that everybody that gets trained was the high officials, but it has to be from the bottom up, in which, you know, people actually see how successful entities and corporations are run in successful countries, and then we can emulate that, and having that thing, you know, that entity eventually start to function in Iraq. Now, the expertise is, I see the different people, but I only see their names on WhatsApp. I don't know their backgrounds, but I think the LinkedIn would give you a better idea of what their background, what their expertise is, and everybody's needed. You know, you need art and culture, you need science, you need medicine, you need, you need law, you need economics. Now, the Iraqi law for NGOs, I'm sure it's there, but if you do it outside, you know, anybody that I heard someone saying that they're setting up an NGO in California, if it has the 503, which is basically the ability to have all funds become tax deductible, well, that's how you build a society. The successful people, instead of paying taxes, they can contribute to this NGO that's structured, and that NGO can in fact actually, in my past experience in Iraq, I was part of a team to set up the Iraq Stock Exchange. We set it up as a utility because we needed proper grants. And as a for-profit company, you don't get the grants. So you can set it up as a utility, or you can set it up as an NGO, so that you're able to get some grants of proper programs to actually help alleviate some of the woes that we have in Iraq. And at that point in time, you know, once there's funding behind the group, then you can contribute by bringing in products. And the most important thing is resources. You know, knowledge today with the internet is basically free for the person that has time and has the ability to look at examples and study things. And I think that, you know, the most important thing about improving Iraq is education. You know, it all goes down at the end of the day is education. So the more content you have on your platform that's accessible by the people that actually use the network, the more valuable you will be for making a change and having the ability of people to basically come up and look at a resource where they can actually see how things should be properly done, how raising money, how, you know, the steps of raising money, the steps of even having, you know, an art show or promoting some type of idea. And I think a lot of the contributors of the group have vast experience, and they're more than willing to share it. You know, I think the ones that are working, let's say, part-time and are studying and are looking at things, we run into things every single day that is that's mind-blowing, and you know, through research and stuff like that. And I think, you know, that should be a reference where our, I'd say the most valuable thing that you can do is create a library of references for people to come up and look at all these different things, and you know, in different aspects where they can go and read about the subject that they're interested in. And I know a lot of the group here, and I hope that we get more and more people to participate. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents into the take, and I'll let Aziz take it on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ustad Hassan. We have 2 comments, Ustad Aziz, on the chat. One comes from Madame Summer. She says, agree on regarding the LinkedIn. And we have another comment from Ustad Amer on the work on Wiki. And we have a raised hand from Mr. Muhammad, I think Muhammad.
Munir, yes. Munir Al Dawood. Yeah.
Munir.
Actually, first of all, I wanted to thank Hassan for his points. We were supposed to be talking to each other 2 weeks ago. Didn't happen, Hassan. Anyways, I do agree. One thing though, can we have, I don't know if Hassan can answer this question. Can we have a closed group? Can we have closed groups on LinkedIn, or should it be open?
I answer yes, we can. We already have one.
I think good.
We already have one.
Then the best idea is, as Hassan suggested, rather than reinvent the wheel, we can have a wiki which is open for all those who need information about the group, about the projects of the group, and so on. And we have our internal discussions all on LinkedIn. Reserved, we can always search them, we can always use them as a reference. And as for the library, I think, Aziz, you can benefit from Bejli. Unfortunately, he's not here today because I know he established quite a good library in terms of projects related to the environment, to food production, and so on. Yep. We can benefit from his structure and maybe widen it a bit. If you want, we can have a one-on-one meeting with Bejli and see if he can share it, put it on LinkedIn, and then from there we can go ahead.
I'm almost in a weekly contact.
From my side, the Beit al-Iraqi website is also going to have a similar library for art and culture, and even the Safinat Noor for the future.
Okay. Can I just cover before the next one, Majid?
Sure, please go ahead.
Going back to LinkedIn, we already have a register of all membership, and it's a file always open. It's a Google Drive file, and it's got all the networks details, including one file for the entire membership's details, contact details, which includes a website where we can find their profile. And most of the majority are giving their LinkedIn profiles, but we had the odd other non-LinkedIn. The idea is just people can find out who this person is. So they have his phone number, so you don't have this problem of we have always in WhatsApp of a phone number appearing and you don't know who this person is. You just go to the file, you'll find who that phone number belongs to. And it's not a big search. We are only 70 people now in the file and in the group. So we're already doing the LinkedIn part. We've already discussed, as an earlier point, Hassan, having a platform, and it could be LinkedIn, but having something away from WhatsApp to use as the group meeting place. Can I just say to everybody, only the main group is on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, which hardly any discussions take place there. All the subgroups are free to choose their own platform. And we have several subgroups already on Telegram, for example, because people are able to keep the history for the newcomers to see it, unlike in WhatsApp. And I have no problems, and we will schedule this to talk about a platform and see where we go. Unfortunately, we have a group called Media Relations, and choosing a method of meeting and a place to meet and a platform is their duty, but they've been absent from participation. And if anybody knows anybody who's in media, please introduce them to the group so that they can help us in doing the websites and the platforms, etc. I'm all for having our own YouTube channel. We act as a proper entity, meaning to do business in Iraq.
Ustad Aziz, one comment from Mr. Muhammad Muniri saying it's difficult to use. Maybe you can elaborate more. You are muted.
Yes, actually, another point, 2 points I wanted to mention. First of all, yeah, we do have that contact list, but rather than going and searching through the contact list when we have things in LinkedIn, I think it's much easier to understand and use, and rather than going to the group properties and looking through Excel, and I don't know, that's what I've noticed. I'll share an experience that we have as part of we've been active on the visa issue with Canada for spouses, and we didn't find, we had it first on WhatsApp. We didn't find WhatsApp as a good platform when the numbers go beyond 10. I'll be very frank. So what we have, we put the admins on that on the WhatsApp, and the group was actually on Facebook, but of course we shouldn't be on Facebook. I would rather go on LinkedIn. The other question is regarding the registration of the NGO or the sub-NGOs. I think Hassan can help, Aziz can help, is that should registrations be better in Iraq or outside? Why or why not? I'm thinking actually of registering in Bayt al-Iraqi, both in Iraq as a profit and outside as a not-for-profit. Up to you guys, however you want to register this group. These were my points, Marv.
Thank you.
It's easier to register outside Iraq. Then you register just as a foreign entity in Iraq. I'm about to register Noah's Ark in the Netherlands, for example. And it's a case of 1 week worth of work instead of 6 months, which is the case in Iraq. And you waste a lot of time trying to register things in Iraq. Okay, I've logged in both the entity legislation and the platform and where we meet.
Thank you, Mr. Aziz. We have another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We have some comments. Nana could help us. So Muhammad Munir is telling somebody can help us. I'm just trying to read through them. Mr. Omar, curiosity question. Where will the project details be housed? And will this be a public or private access domain? Do we have a standard project charter right now? When new projects are initiated? This is a question from Mr. Omar. I don't know if you want him to elaborate more.
Yes, please, let's hear it.
Mr. Omar, can you please unmute?
Hello, Sahlan, marhaba. Good day, everyone. I'm just curious because everybody's talking about different platforms, different domains, different things. And I think from a starting perspective, you have to give a little bit of directionality. So if somebody's interested in initiating a project, you have to have a standard project charter doctrine. This is what's required so that you don't have people deviate away from a standard. This becomes very messy and then it becomes very difficult to manage. So if the platform becomes for example, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever for team meetings, that's the platform that's expected to be used for ongoing meetings. When you kick off a project, there's a set of doctrines of who the project manager is, what the project details are, what the timelines are, what the executable factors are. These are very fundamental methodologies when you go into different projects. If you're not going to have at least that, and I don't know if we have it or if we don't, that's why I said it's a curiosity question. It makes things easier, not only from a traceability perspective, but from seeing where the projects are relative to their goals and objectives. And if somebody has to support a different project, then they won't necessarily have to go through relearning what the different platforms are or what the people are doing or how that project's being executed, because you have a standard process.
Okay. If I sum this up, Omar, by saying let us have a central group that acts like a PMO for us, where we set up standards for project execution.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because I mean, you said before, and it's not something that has to be super complicated. I think the simpler it is, the better for people, because it would encourage more people to participate. But you know, you mentioned you have 30 projects right now, and the first thing that goes to my mind is, you know, how did we vet if a project should be supported or not by a group member, because they do tend to be time consuming. The second is there a standard approach for when we're setting up these projects? And is there a standard project timeline for when the start is and when the expected finish is? And is there regular KPIs, as you mentioned, to see how is the project actually progressing? You know, I think this will do two things. One, it will showcase how many projects were successfully completed. It will also showcase how many projects were not completed for whatever reason. And you can start to dissect them a little bit to say, you know, what went good, what went bad, and you can improve it and improve the process moving forward. But just a thought. I mean, I've done this for the global companies that I've worked for. Sometimes we have, you know, multiple teams in multiple countries, depending on the complexity of the project. But it all comes down to having a standardized project execution methodology.
Okay. I buy into all that, Omar. Just one correction. I didn't say we have 30 projects going right now. I said we have 30 groups, subgroups. And in particular, I mean, you've seen the structure I sent around. The think tank teams, they are about 22, 23 at the moment. And some of them have projects like the Al-Bayt Al-Iraqi. They already have a project and working on it. And some are in a stage where they are thinking of listing several projects and then deciding to choose one to dive with, to go in with. And work on. So they are in evaluation mode. The other complexity here to using standard project management procedures is that we are talking in one instance about somebody running a hamburger Arabana for selling hamburgers, and on the other scale we have a project for creating 50,000 work opportunities through river transportation. So we've got a huge scale from very micro projects to very small, to startups, small startups, middle startups, and one or two projects which are really big. We will need the membership's help on all of these because the problem is now, today, our rate of unemployment for youth in Iraq is now running way above 60%. And we are adding into the unemployment market 250,000 annually, while the last year's guys haven't found jobs yet. We're adding another 250,000 every year. The government has no answer. Business has no answer. Nobody's doing anything about this. So hence, the diaspora network purpose is to solve this problem. Okay, and this is what we need your help with. And all these suggestions been great. And let's work through them so that we are more professional and more professional in our approach.
Thank you, Ustad Aziz. We have 2 raised hands. We have another 8 minutes. So I think somebody lowered the hand. So Ustad Idris, please go ahead, unmute.
Hello, everybody. Well,
Hello.
thank you very much. It seems like we have a whole bunch of things that are in front of us, from what to so what, now what. And we have on the agenda many things that can be added or amalgamated with other items and answering the questions, etc. I like where the discussion is going when it comes to system standards and measures, when it comes to policy governance, certain procedures that are scaled. The caution that I always have is that we don't want to become a mutual admiration society. And that's very, very important. And we need to be very, very patient with growing. And I think what's happening definitely is some growing pains within what we are attempting to do. I thank you very much for your listening to this. And at this time, I'm going to fermer la bouche. Thank you.
We have one last question. I think has been passed by Mr. Haval. Mr. Munther Al Dawood, he wants to have the last question, I think. Then we have a couple of minutes to summarize Ustad Aziz so we can close the call exactly on 11. Thank you. Ustad Munther, please go.
نعم. السلام عليكم أستاذ عزيز والأخوة كلهم. Thank you very much, Mr. Aziz, for inviting me again to be with you today. For me, as you know, Mr. Aziz, I've been away from this group for quite a long time. I was busy doing some other activities with other groups. But I thought that today, the whole diaspora has an issue. The issue, I think, from your inviting introduction and statement and from the discussions I've heard from the group, that you lack of serious contribution and commitment, and so far there is no project deliveries as far as I look at it. Well, but on the other hand, I've been hearing most of the contributions, they've been talking about the structure and organization. I think there is some priorities and some points, I think, in my opinion, it needs to be tackled to make the business model works. So far, I think the business model is unable to deliver activities or projects that can contribute into solving the main issue, which is employment. So I think, in my opinion, and forgive me for that, because I have very, very much limited information about what has been doing so far, because I've been away, as I said. But I think that the structure was born very big in the way is many groups, many divisions, and many members. And in top of this, that those groups, I think, in my opinion, they like some sort of maybe measurements, some project management measurements, some directions. And on the other hand, they like definitely some sort of measurements, and the people they are not all in the same level of commitment and contributions. And in my opinion, the best way to do this, just to make the structure very much focus, instead of making it structure of corporation structure, make it into a voluntary social group structure, which is supposed to be based mainly on projects and start with 5, 6 serious projects. And those 5, 6 serious projects can contribute well into the main purpose of the whole group. And those things will spread more good information and practices to the rest of the members. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Ustad Munther. Thank you so much for your input. Ustad Aziz, you want to react to that? We have another 3 minutes.
All valid points. I will brief Ustad Munther about where we have been and what we've been doing. I mean, just to give a flavor to people here, one of the specialist groups we have is called the Corona Solutions Group. And there we have one of the people present here is a member there, Ustad Salim Al Khayat. And we've got people from on the ground in Iraq. I have a Mosul makerspace group as part of that, and we are discussing a variety of projects to do ventilators and to do oxygen generation, etc., responding to the emergency in Iraq. So it's not all just a case of theory and no action. We're already doing that, and it is not well organized, etc. But because we are only just being born, we are only 6 months old. People have been reluctant to join the specialist teams, and it's been a struggle just to put together the ones we managed to put together. I'm hoping with all these suggestions now we can give a more focus, a bigger push for the group for people to become interested in getting into action, basically. One of my posts in the Diaspora group, I begged people who are able to be mentors to join, because I actually had people on the ground in Iraq, some great teams working on great projects, crying out for somebody to advise them. And unfortunately, I didn't get any response from people. So it's, I mean, this is very basic level, far away from project management, etc. Somebody giving advice to somebody who's already got a project running in Iraq. I think we are out of time now. I will write something. Go on, sorry.
No, sorry to interrupt you. Exactly, we have 1 more minute to wrap up, and want to thank everybody. We had about average 45 people, so definitely the interest is there. And so please use that minute. Actually, we're already over the minute, so just wrap up so we can close, so everybody can go to their family and friends and work.
Just for those names I haven't seen before, please find a way to reach us via whoever invited you to reach us if you are interested to be added into the Diaspora network. And we will send you the information we have. So you're more aware of what we're doing. And thank you very much. And thanks, Majid, for excellent arrangement.
No problem. I will share my email address in this group so everybody can send me so I can share the recording.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So this is my email address. If anybody wants to have the recording, please go ahead. Otherwise, you can also ask me for any other email addresses and Ustad Aziz's email address, whatever you are interested in. Thank you so much again from anywhere you are joining. It was a pleasure to have you all. Have a great day, great evening, whatever you're gonna have. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.